Tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Talk, the Divisional Round Playoffs edition, is here. That's right. We recorded this Sunday night. Me and Omar sat down. We watched, as everyone did, 4 tremendous games, 4 divisional games. No one could have predicted what we saw. But hey, before we get to the episode, don't forget, see me doing live stand-up comedy February 11th, 9:30 p.m. right here on the West Coast. flapperscomedyclub.com is the site. That's where you go. I'm at their club. It's going to be awesome doing live stand-up. So if you're going, go to their site or come straight to me. I get you in there too. Come see me do stand-up comedy. Today on the show, me and Omar talk our overall thoughts of what's great about the divisional round, our overall thoughts of the weekend in general. Of course, we break down the games. San Francisco won, his team. Cincinnati won, interesting game. LA Rams win. They're dying to give that game away. And of course, it's already been talked about, the greatest playoff game to ever live, set foot, be played, flipped a coin over. Is it the best game ever played? That's what we talk about. Then we rank the contenders left in the league, then the awards, then a movie challenge that I lay down to Omar. What is the challenge? What is the trivia? Listen in, find out. And of course, we wrap it all up with legal ramifications. Good question this week. And more to come. The season is in full force. The playoffs are in full force. That being said, the finish line is near. It's happening. Are you excited about it, or are you sad about it? Or are you both? Well, sounds like you need the Sunday Night Talk. That's what me and Omar are here for. So sit back. The divisional round games are over. Take a breath. Listen to me and Omar, the Sunday Night Talk. Here it is. It is 8:04 West Coast time. Divisional round in the NFL just finished. Omar is with me in the man cave. I'm here in the LA studio. What a weekend of football happened. I feel like we're recording this a little later than usual, or we have more time in between the game than usual, and I needed it. I needed to decompress from those 2 games today.
This may have been the most exhilarating weekend of NFL football of all time, and that says a lot. When you throw words like "all time," you better be sure, right? Like this nobody could have even seen this. This wasn't overhyped because this totally passed all the hype for the weekend.
I think we were circling a weekend like this in the NFL for a long time. Talking divisional round, I wrote some thoughts down. Divisional round, it's the round that puts the number 1 seeds into play. Teams from the wild card week come into the games with a head of steam, and we're into the thick of the NFL playoffs. It's everything we want in sports. It's competition, it's stakes, it's finality, and I watch every game with intent, excitement, intrigue, but once every game gets to the 2-minute warning, I start to get a little sad because I know one of these teams is going home. I know one of these teams is done for the year. I get attached like characters in a movie, like characters in a TV series, and I start to see the sun setting on the season. The season is in its twilight at this point. There will be only one winner, and there will be a lot of losers by the end of the season. But ultimately, as a fan, we're in the best spot possible because we still have a lot of football to go in the season. So it's a great, great time. It's a great round. So Omar Carmona, what do you love about the divisional round?
I love that. I something I had been saying from day one with you, Patrick, is I said, what's great about this year is that there is a ton of parity, and we haven't seen parity like this in a long time. Because let's remember something: these last few years, couple years, and the next few years, this is a post-Patriot dynasty NFL, right? I'm not putting down the Patriots, but I mean, we're all moving out of that shadow that the Patriots cast. Remember that happened, after the Steelers, their run ended in the 70s. Who was going to pick it up? It was eventually the Niners. When the Niners kind of went to the side, who picked it up? The Bills, the Cowboys led to those great matchups, and then that ushered into the Patriots. So now we're in a stage where who's that next dynasty? Who's going to be the team? And now we got the Chiefs going on their third straight AFC championship game. So that's a team to definitely look out for. But it's the parity. It's the guy. It's all these teams that want to be that next dynasty type team.
You said it so well. We're looking for the passing of the torch. We're looking
Right.
for who's taking over the wheel from the Patriots. We had Steelers, we had 49ers, we had Patriots, and now we're looking to the new generation of who's going to be our leader, who's going to be our big bad bully, who's going to be
Right.
our perpetual underdog, who's going to be our team on the brink. And it's a good time for the fans. There's a lot of excitement. The league is so youthful
Yeah,
right now, and
it really is.
we're all figuring it out together, it seems. Let me throw at you some memorable divisional round games. The Des Bryant catch / no catch, the Tuck rule, the TO catch, the Jerome Bettis fumble followed by the Mike Vanderjagt field goal miss, the Fog Bowl. I don't know if you remember the Fog Bowl.
I do.
The 3 overtime Miami San Diego game
Oh,
and
huge.
the Immaculate Reception were all divisional round games. They said it before, we're in the heat of the playoffs now, and just these games just seem so weighted. And we had it all this weekend. All 4 games were good. All the wild card games were okay, but this weekend, all 4 games were, you couldn't miss a minute of it. You really could
Right.
not miss a minute of each game.
Last weekend was a typical NFL playoff weekend, right? There were some good ones, there were some stinkers, but that's typical. There is going to be a blowout. There is going to be a 44-10 game here and there. But this was just unreal, unreal.
Couple of overall thoughts on the games this weekend. 3 underdogs win this weekend. 3 road teams win this weekend.
Yeah,
Field goals were completely the crux of all these games. Field goals
right.
were huge. Saturday, very little offense on the Saturday games. Sunday, a ton of offense on both games. So, couple things I like too is we did not have any tight judgment referee calls to really swing this game. There's a couple I think you could throw in there, but we didn't have that one call where like, oh, I didn't see it that way, or if he just calls it this way. I think we have to talk about overtime rules, and I think we need to talk about the taunting calls as well after watching these games. That seemed to be a theme that popped up a couple times as well watching it. What did you think about these games overall? Your general thoughts from the weekend?
Again, it just goes to the parity. I mean, just that, when 3 road teams win, for instance, I mean, 49ers and the elements that they had to win, and to come out with a win on a game where they didn't even score an offensive touchdown,
Yeah.
that's crazy for the Rams to go into the defending Super Bowl champion, playing the GOAT, to go in and to almost choke. I mean, you want to talk about choke. I think the announcer said it best when he said, "Wow, isn't it weird that when Tom Brady is coming back, things as simple as a center to quarterback snap, funny things happen."
Right.
It's just crazy.
Funny things happen. You're right. We can have a team win without scoring a touchdown. We can have a team win and get sacked 9 times. We can have a team win and not have any points.
Right.
So it's all on the table in the divisional round, and it seems like your season can be over in a flash.
Well,
The games are
I'll give
never
you-
over.
In the Niner game, that last field goal attempt in the first half, if the Packers hit that field goal, it's a two possession game. And in that game, that's humongous. You
Right.
know, that you can look at that field goal, although coming at the end of the second quarter, that could be a game winning field goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to get a field goal block, it's insane. After giving up a play that, because let me tell you how demoralizing that would have been. The 49ers pinned the Packers back, I think, with inside the 15 or 10 yard line. And then they called a timeout because they said, if we get some stops here, maybe they'll punt it and we'll have good field position. And then to let Aaron Jones get that wide open and then take it almost to the house, it's just, and then to come up with a block. I mean, that would have been so demoralizing of a made field goal. You cannot overstate it.
It's true in the sense that in each of these games, there's a turning point. Sometimes it happens in the second quarter. Sometimes it happens in the fourth quarter. That one, the Packers had their turning point with the Aaron Jones pass, and then it totally flips with the field goal block. The Tampa Bay game today, turning point with that Stafford fumble.
Yeah.
The Cup fumble. And you just feel it shift. And you're like, this team's played poorly all game, but wait a second. I think they got all the weight on their shoulders right now. I think they're rolling. Kansas City Buffalo game had about 10 turning points. And ultimately, the biggest turning point becomes a coin toss, which we'll talk about. So the little momentum shifts are huge.
Joe Burrow basically spending the entire game on his back. It just seemed like, I know they said it was something like 5-something sacks. It just seemed like he was being sacked every play. It was 9
sacks in that game.
9 sacks, five in the first half, I think. Mm-hmm. And 9 sacks. I mean, it just felt like every time he dropped back, there was a problem. For him to get a rookie kicker to hit a 52-yarder on the road, it's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't make it up.
It is. The weekend of games we had, if you were to write the script with the field goal kickers, the young teams, the teams coming off the bye, the drama, the weather, it would not be believable. And it just speaks to the high quality of play, and still the fact that we see, even though Saturday didn't have a ton of offense in the games, the league is still offense heavy. It seems like, we'll get into with the Niners, at some point they flipped it and they could all of a sudden play offense. So let's talk the games. I try to make a list of least important game to most important game, and that might have been the hardest thing of the weekend to do. But I came with let's start with Tennessee, Cincinnati was the first game of the weekend. We had Tennessee, the number 1 seed. They had Derrick Henry coming back. He's wearing about 6 gold chains as he's on the field. He's wearing a bunch of gold chains. And then I thought, with Joe Burrow, how come we have...
Before you go on, I'm not a fan of the NFL player wearing a nose,
He had a crucifix nose ring. He had about 6 gold chains.
I'm not down.
Not down with the jewelry.
Not down. I'm okay. I mean, the jewelry, if you want to wear necklaces that are inside your, if that's on you. But I don't know about the nose ring.
The nose ring, and Zeke Elliott would have a couple of them in his nose during his play. What do you think about Joe Burrow, and why does he not have a nickname yet? I have 2 potential nicknames for Joe Burrow, and I can't believe we haven't thought of this already. Joe Burrow plays for the Bengals. What about Joe Exotic, or just straight up Tiger King? Why can't he be the Tiger King?
He should be the Tiger King.
Tiger King sounds good. One more playoff win, and he might be the Tiger King. Game starts early. First play of the game, Ryan Tannehill throws a pick. Should have been a red flag. Should have been a red flag for the day to come. It was not a Tannehill game that I think you would put film on and say he struggled.
This game really exposed Tannehill as in my opinion, a very average NFL quarterback.
Which he had been all year. They were a run team.
Right. And so I just don't see him as taking that team to the next level. Now, they've been very fortunate to have the running game that they've had. But I think when you look at A.J. Brown as their receiver, Julio Jones, who's not the same Julio Jones. He's had his injuries and he's finally getting up there in age, but he's still a contributor. You have a Ferrari like that as on a passing receivers a receiving core, and you're not getting the ball there. I think that's a huge concern if you're Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans.
It was no doubt they relied heavily on the run game, and they were getting Henry back. So there was great reason to think that they could run the ball. I don't think Henry was 100%.
No.
He's in there. The threat of Henry might have been enough, but his stats weren't that good. And Foreman had the better day, and they really didn't use. I think he had 6 runs.
Yeah.
So looking back on that, they should have peppered them both in there. He didn't play the whole first quarter, Foreman. They didn't put him in until the second. Other note I had on the game, it just looked cool. The Titans did dark jersey, dark pants, and the Bengals went white jersey, white pants. I just thought that looked good on the screen.
I thought so too.
I thought it was dark jerseys all the way around, white jerseys all the other way around. Here's my favorite part of this game, though. I was listening to this game on the radio, and I love the radio call. It was that 3rd and 1 play. The Titans have the ball, and they're going to 3rd and 1. Tannehill runs the run option, and he runs it off tackle, gets stopped, 3rd and 1, and the announcer does the classic, I don't like the call. Like, well, yeah, because you know what happened. You can't say you don't like the call if you know what happens. And the announcer says, why not just give it to Henry? Give it to Henry.
Right.
Okay, they go for it on 4th and 1. What do? They give it to Henry. He doesn't get it.
Doesn't get it.
What does the announcer say? I go back to the 3rd and 1 call that I didn't like. I was like, you doubled down, you asshole.
Yeah,
announcers are one step above morons when it comes to reacting to plays in real time. I love it. I don't like the call. I'm going to do that from now on. When I don't like something, I'm going to go back and say,
go back. You just got to go back. Take a step back. Take a step back.
I'm going to make minimum wage for 5 years. And
take a step back and make yourself feel like
I don't like the minimum wage rule.
No.
Go ahead.
What? You go.
Oh, I thought the final Tannehill pick. He had 3 picks in the game. I think when you throw a pick on the very first play, you got to say, okay, we can't put the ball in this guy's hands. They have the ball. They're driving, and he has a pass that gets tipped and intercepted. And then Cincinnati can go down and kick the field goal. It weighs on him. And so many of these games too, if the game goes the other way, we're celebrating the other team as geniuses and the other team as idiots. If this game goes the other way, it's like the Bengals can't block. Burrow, he couldn't get out of it. He needs to get rid of the ball quicker. He can't stand in the pocket. Tennessee grinded it out. It goes the other way. We're like, Tennessee's got issues. Tennessee's got to do got to take a long look in the mirror. Exactly. So that started off the weekend and was a really great game, a fun game. A lot of like old references to the old Tennessee Titans that one year that they went to the Super Bowl. A lot of McNair, a lot of Eddie George footage.
That was nice.
Again, I'm a little sad that they're out because I like the team. Ultimately, Henry and Foreman should have been dispersed a little bit more evenly. Did Henry look okay to you? What do you think?
But that's weeks of not playing. I mean that
right.
He doesn't look the same because God, he was at the top of his game. You know what I mean? And he was. I mean, didn't it take like another 4 weeks for somebody to finally pass him in the rushing category? I mean,
right. They said it on the broadcast. Henry left the league, leading the league in rushing. He was out 2 months, 3 months,
and he still finished like top 5. Right?
I think he finished 9th in overall yards.
Like that. Yeah.
still in the top 10, and Foreman picked up the slack big time. I think they watched the footage and they got to say, like, why didn't we give it to Foreman more?
Yep.
Why didn't we disperse it? The threat of Henry was enough to have him in there. So were you surprised though that the Bengals won?
No, not at all. Not at all. There's something shaky about the Titans team. I think they were just way too dependent on the run this year. And I, like I said, I was a little disappointed the way that the receivers were being used in Tennessee.
We should have known when that game ended on the kick of a rookie kicker that we were in for a wild one. That it was just going to be nonstop pedal to the metal all weekend long. Do you want to talk your team game or do you want to save it?
Let's go because let's go in order, I guess. That'd be fine.
Okay, Saturday night, San Francisco and Jimmy G go into Green Bay. It's a cold game. It says it's 0 degrees. Niners pull off the craziest win. So let me start here. I already texted you this because I wanted you to think about this. What Tom Cruise movie most represents this 49ers win? I know you're a Cruise fan. I know you're a 49er fan.
I thought about that, and I need to think of some bad Tom Cruise movies.
Oh, bad one. Okay.
It's a bad one because it was ugly. But it made money. At the end of the day, it made money. So
so maybe a Mission Impossible 2 or 3? Or are you thinking something else?
I thought about, a movie I absolutely hated. Wasn't he in the he was Minority Report, right?
Yeah, that's Tom Cruise.
Made some money. I thought it was terrible.
Terrible movie, made money.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't see you going that way. I was going to go more a movie where Tom Cruise is always on the back foot early, which is more early Tom Cruise movies, not current movies.
Right.
Younger Tom Cruise was always an underdog and then he becomes the hero. So I'm going to go, it was between The Color of Money and Risky Business for me. Because Risky Business, he's trying to get into that college. He's trying to make friends. He's trying to get laid. He fails at everything. And then his parents go out of town. And thus he hatches this extravagant plan to get hookers at his party, to hook up his friends, to make some money. And I think the second half of that 49ers-Packers game was Tom Cruise at the party. And then the recruiter, if you remember that movie, comes to the interview to interview Tom Cruise for his college. And that was the play when, or that was the defensive play where they got the ball back. And that was the play. That was the part where Tom Cruise goes, sometimes you got to say, what the fuck?
Yep. That's a good one. I like that line. Definitely applies to what happened, what happened in that game. Well, like I said, it came down to special teams, but it also, there was luck, you don't line up for a fake punt, you don't line up for a punt block and expect to get it, right? You try for it. But let's also give credit to the defense. Aside from the first drive, Aaron Rodgers did absolutely nothing the rest of the game.
It was so weird. Aaron Rodgers goes down and the Packers score a touchdown and the 49ers go 3 and out. And I'm instantly thinking, long day. It's going to be a long day for the Niners. They can't do anything. And then that was the end of Rodgers. That was the end of the offense. They didn't do anything else the rest of the game. Garoppolo can't complete a pass. And then it gets worse. Kittle drops an easy one. Another guy drops an easy one. And I'm thinking like it's just not their day. And then Kittle catches the craziest one-handed pass against the sideline. Right. And then they start rolling. Did you get nervous when Garoppolo went full Garoppolo and threw the interception on the 2-yard line?
Oh, miserable. I was miserable.
Again, I thought it's just not their day.
Nope. We were going to lose. We were going to lose.
How about the cold? Do you think the cold, it just took them a while to warm up? Also, it was weird that they show the sideline and the 49ers coach Shanahan is bundled up. He's got the big jacket. He's got the face mask. And then they showed the Green Bay coach and he had a vest on. It was the biggest disparity. Maybe the sidelines are heated these days in a way we don't know, but it didn't look cold. Some games look cold. This game didn't look cold, but it said it was 0 degrees.
Yeah, it was cold. I had a couple friends that were there and it was everything. Yeah, it was bad. It was cold.
Maybe the sidelines are advanced enough these days that they can bump up the temperature 15, 20 degrees for the sideline and it's not quite so miserable for the players. I don't know though, but you can always tell by like when they hit the sideline how quick that big jacket comes on. And Garoppolo came to the sideline and he looked cool. He looked cool as a cucumber. He didn't sitting there in his short sleeves, puts the hat on. So It didn't affect them. I thought the turning point for this game was Deebo Samuel's kickoff return at the start of the second half.
Yeah.
Got a head of steam, and they were rolling. They're like, all right, here we go. We can play with this team. And they just flipped a switch. All of a sudden, the Niners could play offense with them. Not huge numbers, but Garoppolo looked good. He looked really good.
They did. And they, got the ball to Deebo Samuel, got the ball to George Kittle. Just, you want to get the ball to your playmakers, and that's exactly what they did.
Samuel is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And they use him in all the right ways. They have him catching passes. They have him taking reverse handoffs. They nailed it with him. Without him, they can't score in this game.
There's no chance. It ain't going to happen.
Did you, before I get off the cold temperature, did you catch when NFL found Aaron Rodriguez in the stands?
Alex Rodriguez, yeah.
Sorry, Alex Rodriguez in the stands, and he's got his hat on. He looks cold. And I'm thinking, this guy can't get in a luxury box?
I guess.
What was that about?
I don't know if you'd want to invite him. Something. I don't know.
Is he not welcome in those luxury circles?
I just see he's too much of the pretty boy.
But he's in the crowd freezing his ass off. Does that earn him any points?
I think people are over Alex and they want to see more J-Lo and Ben. I'm sure they were in a box.
Interesting. Why do you think he went to that game?
I have no clue.
Why Wisconsin? Is he works for Fox, right? But
yeah,
why? I don't get it. I need more information.
He works for Fox, so they could have put him like in the Fox booth somewhere.
I don't get it. Why don't bring him in with Troy and Joe Buck for a segment? Just a quick. I didn't understand why he was freezing his ass off in there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Something to think about.
How did you react to the punt block?
Oh, a scream. A little girl scream. Yeah, that's exactly how I reacted.
Because you went radio silent on me again this week. You don't respond to text during games.
I was too stressed.
You would pepper in a little bit like big call, and then that was it. You don't respond to any other of my texts. You go silent.
You know what's funny is that with that punt block, the ball goes straight up in the air, and the camera people, they're trained to keep the camera on the ground. So when that ball's up in the air and outside camera view, it's like no one knows where it's at.
We didn't know where it was. The players are looking the wrong direction. That was pretty good. That was a total confusion moment for everyone watching it. The San Francisco guys are looking the wrong direction. And then, are you like me where you have to run the rules in your head again real quick? You're like, okay, can he return that? Did it go past the line of scrimmage?
Right.
If it goes past the line of scrimmage, it's like a return. I have to redo the rules in my head for a little bit. How about this? Did Aaron Rodgers play well in this game?
No, he choked.
Was it a choke?
It was a choke. It was.
He got sacked. He didn't have a lot of offense.
No, but it was some good pass rush too.
Who do we credit this Niners performance? Is it Niners coaching, Garoppolo,
DeMeco Ryans defensive coordinator? Great game plan.
You're giving it to the defensive coordinator because there was a couple of big plays where the dam almost broke.
Yeah.
And the Niner defense got that offense back on the field in good position.
Yeah. We made some big stops.
And we can blame the special teams of the Packers, but the Packers only put up 10 points.
Yep.
The offense needs to put up more than 10 points. So the Niners move on. All right. Do you want to have the Aaron Rodgers conversation now?
Yeah. I think he's done in Pittsburgh. I mean, I'm sorry. I gave it out. I think he's done in Green Bay, and look at him going to possibly Pittsburgh.
Was he solely to blame for this loss?
No, he's not. In fact, anything, he at least put them in some opportunity. I mean, he did give them some opportunities to win the game. So no, he's not solely to blame. I never think of an NFL, you can't blame one person. But he did choke.
Here's his stat line: 20 for 29, 225 yards, 0 TDs, 0 interceptions, 5 sacks. What is it? I'm looking up Aaron Rodgers' stats over his career. He's won the one Super Bowl, 11-9 playoff record, 4-2 in the wild card round, 5-3 divisional, 1-4 in the NFC Championship. What do you think he's missing all these years? Because he should have 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
He should have 3 Super Bowls.
I want to talk to you about this about on the show was it's weird the trajectory that Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre kind of had. Don't you say like, Aaron Rodgers takes over for Brett Favre, and then just like a few years later, it takes a little while to get over the hump, but then they get a Super Bowl, right? Just right. Like the Super Bowl 31 the Packers get against the Patriots, but then that's it. It happened early on in their starting, in their career as starting quarterbacks, and then that's it. And then all these comparisons were made of how great Brett Favre is and the greatest arm, the greatest gunslinger, and then Aaron Rodgers comes, takes his job, takes a few years, but he gets to that Super Bowl back in 2010, and then that's it. Not another Super Bowl.
I didn't think the similarities were that close, but you're right. I always thought with Favre, he won one Super Bowl, which was by and large a close game. That Super Bowl is won by Desmond Howard and the special teams. Okay, then the next Super Bowl he goes to, they play Denver, I think it is.
And Elway beats them.
And he has the last drive of that game to bring his team back, and he doesn't. He fails.
Right.
So if it's not for that one Super Bowl, we're looking at Favre like Marino or Dan Fouts or
right.
And when you think about it,
and everybody was touting Favre, and then as talented as as transcendent as Aaron Rodgers is, everyone's like, oh well, clearly Aaron Rodgers is the greatest Packers quarterback. But when you think about it, it's what's the difference with Favre?
Yeah, the record is painful for Rodgers. 1-4 in the NFC Championship. This is a tough beat for Rodgers. So I'm wondering what do you think he was missing all these years? Is it a coach? Is it the great number 2? Is it a friend? Is he missing a friend? Does he need a wife? Does Aaron Rodgers need something steady in his life?
But look how the way Brett Favre's career kind of ended is he's staying around too long. Do the Packers want him? Does he want to be with the Packers? And then, there were some allegations made of him being, a pervert with some
right.
But there was controversy, and so you can't say it was the most ceremonious of exits that Favre had with the Packers. Well, this exit that Aaron Rodgers is headed for, I think inevitably, it's not going to be the most ceremonious either.
Right.
So I think there's some parallels there.
He's dragged the team, the organization, whatever you want to call it, through the mud during the off season.
Yeah, and then remember when Favre wanted, to keep going, they're like, hey, well, we got this guy Aaron Rodgers, and we want to see where we're going to go, and he was pissed.
Sure.
And and then so Aaron Rodgers gets it, and they're always the good boy, and nobody all these teams pass on him, and Brett Favre didn't like him. Instead of trying to teach him something, he didn't care for him, and it's like Aaron Rodgers pulled the same bullshit.
Right. Yeah, you can say what you will if you like or don't like Aaron Rodgers as a person, but his biggest flaw is what he's done to the team in the offseason. Letting them hang and say like, oh, maybe I won't play football. Maybe I want to be traded. Maybe I want to do other stuff. And he kind of leaves them hanging, and that makes it hard. That puts him in the bad graces early on. So where do you think he is next year?
Pittsburgh.
Why Pittsburgh? I don't see him wanting to play for Pittsburgh.
I don't.
Although they do have weapons.
They do have weapons. They were in a playoff. Roethlisberger just, he gave it all to that organization. But they have some weapons, and a young running back in Najee Harris. I could see them. Mike Tomlin is a winner. He's never had a losing season. So I could, like Aaron Rodgers says, I don't want to be part of a rebuild. So think of all the playoff teams that have exited. They're not. Those other playoff teams aren't going to be looking for a quarterback. He ain't going. I mean, he ain't going to San Francisco. I mean, they Trey Lance was drafted to take over for Jimmy G. Mm-hmm. He's not going to go to LA. There's Stafford there. He's not going to go to Tampa Bay. I mean, there's some talk now today with Brady possibly leaving. We'll get to that, but but it's not like the Chiefs are moving on from Mahomes, or the Bills aren't moving on from Allen, and
Right.
Burrow's going to be. So he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. So he's not. That's telling you he doesn't want to go to a losing team. So he may need to find a team like the Steelers that they're moving on from their quarterback, but they at least have some foundation to start.
Who's the best team that didn't make the playoffs this year? Maybe that's what he's scouting through. Pittsburgh is in the conversation.
The Colts, they're not going to have a quarter. I don't think they're going to stay with Carson Wentz. Something to look for, the Indianapolis Colts.
Do you? What do you think his post-football life is like? Do you think Aaron Rodgers becomes something in football? Do you think he drops off the map like Andrew Luck has? What do you think
I
Aaron
don't
Rodgers'
think
post-football life is
I
like?
think he is going to be the Hannity of the NFL. He's just going to be that guy that every time you talk to him, it's something incendiary. It's something he knows it's going to piss other people off, and he's just going to be totally cool with it.
Do you think we know Aaron Rodgers a lot, a little, or not at all? Because it seems like he's giving of some information pretty freely, but never completely genuine.
I think we know enough of him.
How so? What do we know about him?
He's a jerk. I don't want to know anything else.
I think the similarities between him and Brady in as far as a publicity aspect are remarkably similar. However, they're played very differently. Brady is very calculated with what he says, who it will hit, who it will affect. Yet I feel like there's more stuff to him than he's giving off. And the same with Rodgers. I feel even though he has his positions on stuff, I still feel like he's not giving me all the information that is really in his head. So I think they are kindred spirits in a sense that they say like, yeah, this is the way industry, media, our profession operates, and I'm going to do it on my terms. I don't care if you like it or not, but I'm going out on my terms.
Right.
And they have the talent to do it. A first string quarterback can get away with a lot more than a second string quarterback. So I find them very similar, and I almost would like to hear a conversation between the two of them.
Yep, that would be nice. That would be interesting.
Hypothetical question. If Aaron Rodgers and the Packers win this game in overtime, how does our view flip of Rodgers? Are we all of a sudden like, look at this guy can grind it out. This is his year. How much does our opinion change of him?
I don't think my opinion's ever going to change on Aaron Rodgers.
Well, you don't like him or you don't like him as a player? Because I think there's two separate things here. We all didn't like
He is a great quarterback.
Uh-huh.
He is a great quarterback. Arguably, I would put him arguably in the top 5 to ever do it.
Here's my thought on sports, and here's why I like sports so much. The winner's argument is always correct. If you talk trash and you win, you can throw it in their faces. If you talk trash and you lose, you are receptive to every single joke that comes your way. And that's what I like about sports. If you win, you're right. If you lost, you're dumb. So
Yeah.
remember as kids, your favorite team, if your team lost Monday morning, everybody in the schoolyard made fun of you.
Right.
So,
Right.
so I have no sympathy for the loser getting made fun of, but I also back every winner talking shit the next day, whether you like them or not, because that's what sports is it's an argument that ends, essentially. Let's go next game. Let's go early morning game this Sunday, LA Rams at
Just
Tampa Bay. Are we going to see?
It just seemed like everything was going wrong at the wrong time for Stafford and Tom Brady. I mean, for the Rams, and then it's just Tom Brady's just there hanging around. But he also had some miscues. I gotta.
The first half, it was horrible.
Right, but also there was some miscues in the second half too. Even when he was trying to mount the comeback. Now he did tie it.
Yeah.
But there were some miscues there that had he executed, maybe they would have gotten that tying touchdown a lot earlier. But anyway, we'll see what happens with Tom Brady. Now the rumor came out that he's going to at least really consider retirement, that he's going to talk to his family, people close to him. So if this is the end of Tom Brady and he doesn't put on another a uniform again and doesn't wear a helmet again, were we blessed to watch that whole thing unravel?
Yeah, I don't think anybody is going to feel bad if he walks away from the
No,
game.
not at all. You're still the goat.
I wrote going into this game, are we going to see good Stafford or bad Stafford? And we kind of saw both.
We saw both.
We
We saw
kind of saw
both.
both in the same game. It
We
was
saw
it was
both.
really weird. This was a game of the first half was completely different than the second half. Then I crossed that out and I said the first 47 minutes were different than the last 13 minutes of this game. Here's in my notes. Taunting call on Tampa Bay. This started my taunting call rant on Sue. Sue pressures Stafford. He gets up and he kind of gives Stafford the eye and he points at him and they call Sue on the taunting penalty. And
But
Sue,
you clearly see Stafford kick him.
yes. And what I liked about it is as the referee's calling the penalty, Sue leans in and you catch him on the mic and you hear, he kicked me.
Yeah. Did you see him kick me?
So now, here's the funny part of it. Here's the irony of it all. We penalize the words being said, not the physical action anymore. Some guy
Right.
got kicked. Someone said, hey, screw you. We penalize the guy who said, screw you. We have got this penalty completely backwards. And
Yep.
it'll probably be gone next year because it's been horrendous. I think we're playing with fire with it. That penalty led to a Rams touchdown as well. Then, not to be outdone, might have been my favorite part of the game. Tom Brady gets a personal foul. Where did you stand on the Tom Brady getting in the referee's face?
I loved it, and I think that could have been one of those building for a long time with that particular referee. I think he just finally said,
Could
I
be.
gotta call you. I gotta call you for something at one point, once in my life.
I love the no call because Brady was pissed that he didn't get the roughing the passer.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, you took a hard hit, but that wasn't a
Yeah, it wasn't targeting.
that it didn't hit your head. It hit your chin. Okay, you got a little cut. I kept wanting them to flip to the scene in Rocky 4 when Rocky cuts Drago the Russian and the announcer goes, "He's cut. He's
Yeah.
cut." We needed that big time. So I love the personal foul. And in turning point of this game, Akers, the Rams are going in at the end of the half to really blow it open. And Akers fumbles the ball
At
at
the
the
one.
1 yard line. That could have killed this game. It was 20-3 at the half. It could have been 27-3.
Right.
That was big, as we later see. Start of the fourth quarter, it's 27-18. Two huge Rams fumbles. One at the end of the half, the Akers one, and then the one by Cup. So all of a sudden, this game is a new game. I feel like I watched 4 games
It was,
in this one
at
game.
that point, it felt like 4 games.
There was the one play where I think Tampa Bay didn't convert a fourth down, and you're like, oh, that's it. And then by the end of the game, you're like, oh, no, it's not. They had 4 more chances after that. So I wrote in my notes when they didn't convert that fourth down, I walk away from the game and I say, ultimately Tampa Bay didn't have any offense in this game. They had 3 more possessions after I wrote that. This game
Yep, they did.
did not end. Okay, then it's a tie game at 42 seconds left in the game. It's easy to say now. But that fourth down that Tampa Bay scored the touchdown on to tie, should Fournette have slid and taken a knee at the 1
Yes.
and try and bleed more clock and say like, hey, just give us 3 shots from the 1, and if we win, it's zeros on the clock. If we don't, fuck it, we left no time for Stafford.
Yeah.
Easy for me to say now, but what about that strategy? We need to think about that.
I know that was a different. I mean, they saw something that I clearly didn't. Obviously, not the most to me, not the most easy decision that was made by a coach. Because I think there was one easier in the next game to make that they didn't do it and it cost them dearly. But I don't know what was that with that call.
Yeah, he had the free run. They make a great call. It's fourth down.
Yeah.
They win the play and he just jogs in, but they left 41 seconds and the Rams, what did they throw 2 passes to get all the way down there?
Yeah, we saw that in the next game too.
The same thing. Yeah, similar in the next game. So we saw a good Stafford at the end of the game. And then that game ends on a game-winning kick. So
Right.
Brady, he retires after this year. Does he play again?
My gut is saying he goes one more year.
I think he retires. I'm gonna throw my lock it in pick early.
Oh wow, lock it in.
he retires in March. The season plays out, the Super Bowl happens, all that stuff. I think he hangs it up in March.
Okay.
I say that's it. If he had won the Super Bowl this year and he had the chance to go for a 3 in a row, I would have a harder time making a pick then.
Right.
I say he's had enough.
Yeah, Brady's never had a 3 in a row.
Nobody has.
Nobody has.
So that was the game that had the biggest comeback. The game was over 10 times over, and then all of a sudden the Bucs are tied the game, and I'm like, we're going to overtime. Nope, the Rams win.
Right.
Good Stafford. Game of the night. I'm going to start here because I'm watching a lot of post-game stuff. Was this the greatest playoff game ever?
Arguably.
Arguably,
yes.
How so?
It had everything. I mean, it's so hard to say. There were some great Steelers, Ravens, matchups that weren't as high scoring. That if you like defense and running the game, those are some great games. This game reminded me a lot at the end of the Niners Saints game. When Vernon Davis scored at the very end, they were just going back and forth at the last quarter, just back and forth, back and forth. The Aaron Rodgers throw to the sideline against the Cowboys, that thread. I mean, those are some great football games. The Raiders and Steelers had their share of great football games in the 70s. The catch, Joe Montana, to Dwight Clark. The Niners, Cowboys. I mean, you go on and on. Every team, has some games that just, were unbelievable to watch. So it's arguably the greatest. But wow, what an end. But I do want to point out, why don't you squib kick it? Now, listen to me. If you squib kick it,
Romo asked for it.
Okay, if you squib. Let's say they catch it, they down it at the 10. They may not down it at the 10. You got to give your guy more than 90 yards. So he may have to take a few steps out, and run with the ball. You know what I mean? But if he runs, you take 4 or 5 seconds off the clock. Hey,
you take a play away from the offense. You're right. Take a play away from Mahomes.
I'd rather have Mahomes have 7, 8 seconds left from the 30-35 on the other side, than giving him 13 seconds. And this is a game where, there's a huge difference between 13 and 8 seconds. It's a huge difference.
Romo called for that, and they did in today's NFL, if you don't have a lot of time and they're kicking off to you, I don't care where the kick is. If it's in the air, you fair catch it. You get the ball in the 25 every time, no matter where you fair catch the ball, whether it's in the field or play or not, and no time comes off the clock. It's weird that strategy isn't implemented more, and it's weird that the Bills didn't squib it, and 4 seconds comes off, and the Chiefs have one less play.
I think you have to squib. It's that one less play that made the difference.
Big mistake, and I don't know if it was discussed in the heat of the moment. I don't understand how it's not. By the way, are you watching the Joe Montana documentary?
No, I'm going to this week, though.
Oh, I need to hear your thoughts on this. I'm 4 episodes in. A lot of interesting stuff that I didn't know about Joe Montana. And, we really don't get to hear Joe Montana talk a lot. So this is cool that we can see.
He doesn't. He kind of rode off into the sunset. He's got his wineries and his vineyards, whatever he does.
Skechers shoes.
Yeah, he does the Skechers. And but one thing I will say, something to look out for, history. The Cincinnati Bengals have been to 2 AFC championship games. 81, 88. They won both.
Right.
Their opponent in the Super Bowl, the San Francisco 49ers, both times.
Right. We could have a rematch, young and old. Did this Buffalo game, to me, it just felt like a heavyweight match. Like it was Tyson Holyfield, and it was body blows. It was 10-9 round for one guy. Then the next round was 10-9 for the other guy. Then we almost had a knockdown when they went up 2 scores. I wrote down the coolest play was that 4th and 1 or 4th and a little bit where Josh Allen fakes out like 4 people and he runs it for the first down. Then they have the crazy Josh Allen touchdown followed by the crazy Josh Allen 2-point conversion. And just to get into overtime, the Chiefs have to get into field goal range, and Romo's talking about, well, if the kicker loads up, they could try a 64-yarder. He's like, that Ravens guy did that. Like he knows that a field goal chance with 13 seconds is not out of the question. And then, lastly, this got buried. Not buried, but it wasn't talked about that much. Tyrann Mathieu goes out on the first drive of the game.
Yeah, he was out.
And they're depleted on defense. So that's a big, big question mark.
Hey, let me tell you something. They better hope he gets healthy because Jamar Chase went for over 250 yards against them last time they played a few weeks ago.
I think if you're Burrow and Chase and the Bengals, you see tonight and you're like, we could throw on these guys.
Yeah.
We're no slouch. We got offense. So
Yeah.
I think the Bengals can mount an offensive strategy. Okay, overtime. The biggest mistake Josh Allen had in this whole game, calling tails. Yes or no?
He called heads.
Oh, sorry. He called heads and it came up tails?
Yep. I'm a big fan of tails.
So tails, it does indeed never fails.
Tails never fails.
But I do like that he made the call. So we could say in some way like Josh Allen is like, hey, ride or die, Josh. You go call the coin.
Yeah.
If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Do we need to talk overtime?
You know, it's a some people are not going to like it. I'm always of the I don't want to go to the college way of doing it. I really don't.
No, I'm with you on that. The college is not my answer.
I never liked the one possession you kick, you get 30 something yards, 40 yards, now your field goal kicker is winning the game. I do like the overtime rule the way it is. I mean, we can always sit here and say, why don't we give the Bills a chance to get a touchdown and then see what happens? Maybe. I mean, maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing because you already took it down to 10 minutes. So, which I think was done correctly. I think you instead of 15-minute quarter, you do a 10
the playoffs
minute.
have 15 though. The playoffs got 15 because it cannot end in a tie. So playoffs get 15, but the same rule still applies. Touchdown ends it. Field goal.
I wouldn't mind giving the Bills another crack at that game.
Yeah, I'm with you because number one, the Chiefs just got the field goal. They were on offense. They were shredding the Bills. Both defenses look tired. The Bills are tired. They win the coin toss. Hey, Bills defense, come right back on the field.
Yeah.
The league is already offense heavy, offense friendly. It's tailored to offense excelling, and touchdown. That's it. It's over. What if
How about this roll?
Go ahead.
49ers, the Chiefs got 7, right? Right off the bat, they get 7. All right, Bills will give you the ball back. But if you do score, you have to go for 2.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with going for 2. Maybe no more field goal, no more extra points. You always go for 2. I think the other team needs a shot.
Yeah,
I think the other
do too.
team needs a chance to match. Because what if you had it in basketball where you're like, all right, first 3-pointer wins.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I got it, lucky shot or whatever. And then you never get a chance. You never get a chance to match the offense because in football, offensive players don't play defense. It's not like you can say like, oh, they got on the field. These guys didn't even get on the field. Josh Allen sat on the bench the entire overtime, and that game ended. I didn't really feel satisfied.
Yeah, it was tough to end that way.
It felt incomplete, and I don't like the overtime rule because of this. I don't like the taunting call. I don't like the overtime. Oh yeah, another quick thought. It's interesting that the COVID rules that we dealt with all season long, all of a sudden nobody is on any COVID reserve list at all for the playoffs. So it's kind of,
they threw all those rules out the window.
Throw it out. And I'm all for it. It's kind of like the NFL said like, hey man, this is the playoffs. These are healthy dudes. Let's just give up on the COVID reserve. Okay, fine. Hey, while we're at it, no taunting calls. All right.
No taunting. Yeah.
No taunting. These are grown men. We have on the back of our helmets end violence, yet we're hitting each other in the head every single. How about no taunting calls? Let's just like an under the table agreement. They're like, hey, no COVID rules, and we're gonna swallow the whistle on the taunting calls just for the playoffs.
Yep.
You can't blame the refs; they're just following how they've been instructed.
Exactly.
So that game exhausted me, but that game was awesome. I don't care, even though I didn't like overtime rules. Awesome game. Josh Allen is amazing. He's throwing bullets. He's running that fourth down touchdown to go into the lead. And then Mahomes is just like, hold my beer. I got 13 seconds. Oh, just kick a 48-yarder. Forget 64. Let's go for a 48-yarder. And let's end the game on another, or let's get into overtime with a field goal, and then I'll win it with a pretty amazing throw to Kelsey as well. Those were the games. But how about you on Sunday? Your team won on Saturday. You've got the whole Sunday to kick back.
It's so much better
enjoy. That's so jealous. I'm so jealous.
You just get to enjoy. Yeah.
And Jimmy G hasn't earned any. Why are you so harsh on Jimmy G?
I just think some of those interceptions is just real head scratchers sometimes, and I just like it. But it happens again and again. It's happened the last few weeks when we've needed him the most. There's been some bad throws, terrible situations there. So it's hard. But look, we're gonna have to ride. We're gonna have to ride with him. So let's go.
It feels like Jimmy G is your stepson. And you don't fully love him. No, I don't. It seems like you'll put a roof over his head, but you don't love him.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
He's like a kid from another marriage and just a stepson, and you're kind of like, yeah, but come on, he's not my next of kin.
Right.
You know what I got a little scared about? There was a play in the 49er game where the refs were reviewing it. And for some reason, both offenses were on the field. So Rodgers and Garoppolo are joking, like they're smiling. And I'm thinking, like, I don't like this. I don't like Rodgers playing little mind games on Jimmy G, smiling and giving him little fist pounds.
Oh, I didn't like that either.
No, I was like, Jimmy G, get the fuck away from Rodgers.
Right.
He is your enemy. He is working some angle on you right now. I'm glad you noticed that too.
I did notice it. I didn't like it.
If I'm the running back or offensive lineman, I'm stepping in between the two of them. I'm like, Rodgers, get over the bench, dude. Get away from our quarterback. Okay, let's do some ranking. We got 4 teams left. Rank these 4 teams, number 1 to number 4. Here's what I got. I got number 1, KC. Number 2, Cincinnati.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Okay. Number 2, Cincinnati. Number 3, Rams. Number 4, San Francisco. And it's not even a 4. It's almost like a 3A. Because the Niners are so dangerous right now.
I don't care if
you're
right. They're not
have offense or not.
I'm not. I don't have a problem. I think head to head, I may give the edge to the Rams over Cincinnati. I may flip them. I'm not sure. But there's not a whole lot separating all 4 teams.
Oh, really? You think it's that close?
It's close. It's close.
Do you think KC is the clear favorite of the 4?
Only because they've been there before.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. Niners are arguably, they've been there before too. I mean, they did have
That's true.
They did have a Super Bowl run 2 years ago. That's not too far removed, but yeah, I mean, you got to dethrone the Kings,
Rank the quarterbacks. I got Mahomes number 1, Stafford number 2, Burrow 3, Garoppolo 4.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Rank the coaches. I got McVay number 1, Shanahan number 2, Reed 3, Zach Taylor number 4.
I actually got Shanny number 1. I got Andy Reid number 2. I'll take McVay next. And yeah, and then I'll take the Bengals coach.
Right. They're the wild card. They're the ultimate wild card here. And they are the best we got nothing to lose team.
But remember, I do have Zach Taylor getting consideration for the coach of the year.
I have it written down. You locked it in.
Yeah.
At this point, I think the voting has already been done, but at this point, he's the coach of the year.
Yeah.
Do you think we need some metrics for coach of the year? Like, just do all right, end of the half, how many timeouts did you have left? End of the game. How many timeout? Like simple. How many challenges did you win?
How many challenge losses did you have?
Yes.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Forget like, oh, he won, he lost, he had a good season, he did a lot with a little. Just pure metrics. How many challenges did you win? How many timeouts did you unnecessarily burn? How many delay of games did your team take? I would be okay with some coach metrics.
I'm okay with that.
Who won the weekend? I got 3 nominees. I got kickers/field goals.
That's a good one.
I have offense, and I have natural grass. 3 out of these games, was it 3 out of 4 were played on natural grass? I don't know about Tennessee if they're grass or not.
Yeah, they are. Okay,
all four games.
I got a winner for you.
Okay.
2-minute drills.
Oh, that's good. I should have added that in.
2-minute drills.
We had significant 2-minute drills in every single game. Yes, 2-minute drills is good. I'm going to go field goals. Field goals were big. We didn't have any dramatic misses. That last second miss where the kicker's the GOAT. Lock it in predictions. I already said mine. Tom Brady retires in March.
Lock it in. Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, wow. I'm going to write it down right now. Aaron, we have 2 long-term lock it in predictions. Let's go. We don't have to lock these in, but let's pick the Super Bowl matchup right now.
My heart, I want to see okay, I know I'm biased, but look, Niners have won. They've beaten the Rams 6 straight times. Okay, that at some point Shanahan's in McVay's head. Okay, it's like you right. cannot beat me, and so I do like my 49ers chances. Although beating a team, there is something to say that you got to beat the same Ram team 3 times in 1 year. That's
yeah. I hate these. I hate matchups when they play each other 3 times in a year like this.
So I'm gonna go with the Niners on it. Okay.
Okay.
I saw too much collapse on the Niners. On the Rams side, the second half of their game today. That I think a running team like 49ers, the pass rush. I think the 49ers pass rush is going to be way more effective than what the Bucs did today. So I'm going to go with the Niners in an upset. That's going to be an upset. My heart wants the Bengals so bad.
Is it because they're the more beatable team for the Niners, or do you want the rematch? Or are you
I wouldn't mind Bengals the rematch. Fan? I wouldn't mind the rematch.
We got a rematch both ways. Now that I think about it, KC rematch or Cincinnati rematch.
But my heart wants the Bengals. I just don't know if they're there yet. So my prediction is going to be the Chiefs, but I want the Bengals.
So you're predicting KC,
and that has nothing to do with the 49ers being there. I would like to see the Bengals advance.
Okay. I'll go the opposite. I'm going KC Rams are in the Super Bowl.
We're opposites. I got KC. I got KC.
I'm very begrudgingly on it. The Rams were looking for ways to give this game away. Ironically, not because of any Stafford interceptions. It was all fumbles and the one personal foul. They wanted to lose this game.
Even if I was a non-49er fan, I'd look at it this way, though. The Niners basically have had to win 3 straight playoff games, and they've already done that. They beat the Rams to get in right. SoFi in Week 18.
Right, good point.
They beat the Cowboys on the road. So they beat the Rams on the road. Cowboys on the road. Packers on the road. 3 road playoff games in a row. That their confidence right now is through the roof.
I treat it like a rule as if you were going to Vegas. Never walk away from a heater. Yeah. And the 49ers are the heater right now.
Right now, they're the heater.
They've won everything on the road. They play a horrible first half, and they're like, nah, we're still in this game. They win the game. Hey, something crazy is going to break our way. Oh, yeah, we'll block a punt. Like, they are hot. So I do not like betting against. If I'm the Rams, I'm scared of this team. This team can beat them.
This team went to frigid Lambeau, didn't score an offensive touchdown, and walked away with a win. Think about that.
Aaron Rodgers tried to give Jedi mind tricks to Garoppolo in between timeouts, and they still weren't shaken. They still were there. Jimmy G threw his Jimmy G interception on the 1 yard line. Still not shaken. So I'm the most scared of the 49ers. They definitely can win. I don't know if I can make an argument that Cincinnati can win, but I want them to throw everything at KC. I want them to give it their best shot. I want them
Cincinnati
to be on fire.
can win the game. They can win the
Really?
game.
You think so?
They can win the game.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Time for the Sunday Night Talk Challenge. This week, I got something a little special for you.
Okay.
This game is called the NFL Player Who is in a Movie That Is Not About Football trivia game.
Okay.
Now, there's a couple ways you can score points on this game. Number one, I'm going to read you the movie description. When you think you know the movie, you shout it out.
I'm going to be bad at this, but okay.
Second way you can score points, naming the NFL player who's in this movie. And then lastly, guessing if this movie is over or under 50% on the Rotten Tomatoes website.
Ooh, okay.
Rating.
I'm not good at that already, but okay.
All right, here we go. First movie description. NFL players who are in movies that are not about football. Here we go. Shout it out when you know the answer. Here's your description. 2 Air Force pilots are sent on an overnight top secret mission with 2 nuclear weapons aboard their aircraft. Once in the air, one pilot changes the plan. He attempts to kill the other pilot and steal the nuclear weapons with the intent of selling them. However, the pilot survives and with the help of a park ranger attempts to stop the deal. Do you know this movie? Not ringing any bells?
Con Air.
What's going on in your head? Con Air? The movie is from 1996, Broken Arrow.
Oh, Broken Arrow. It's been so long since I've seen that movie.
Con Air, not a bad guess.
I knew it was in that time. I couldn't think of the name. I do remember it. I knew it was somewhere in that time.
1996. This was Travolta, I'm still an action guy era. This was Christian Slater. Christian Slater can still be put in a movie, Christian Slater. And then this was 90s action peak.
Yeah.
Also, this era, 90s action, didn't have to be a great movie for us to say, like, I'm going to see that in the theaters. I'm seeing that movie.
Right.
Lastly, I don't know if you remember the preview, but there was a preview where it said, where the senator, the president, is on the plane and he gets a phone call and he's like, Mr. President, we have a broken arrow. He's like, what's that? That's where we lose nuclear missiles. And the president says, I don't know what's worse, losing nuclear weapons or the fact that we have a name for it.
That was good.
All right. Do you know the NFL player who's in this movie?
Was it Howie Long?
For 1 point, the answer is Howie Long. You got it.
Yeah.
Now, is this movie above or below 50% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Below.
You're going below. Broken Arrow is 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. You got 1 point.
Okay.
Movie description number 2. Yell it out when you know it. A mascot is abducted and a zany private detective who specializes in finding missing animals takes the case. Working with the mascot's representative, the detective...
Ace Ventura.
From 1994. The movie is Ace Ventura. You got it. 2 points. Who is the NFL player who is in this movie?
Dan Marino.
You got it. Dan Marino is the player in this movie. I can't remember if this was Jim Carrey's coming out party.
This was
his...
This was, because it was the first movie that he had a streak. It was Ace Ventura. He followed up with The Mask the next year, and then Dumb and Dumber the next year. So it was like...
What a run.
Great run. Yeah.
What a
Well,
run.
remember, there was a time that he had the highest quote in movies, and that wasn't from being in super action movies. You know what I mean?
Ace Ventura was the summer movie where you went back to school in the fall and everybody's repeating the lines from that movie.
Yes.
Everybody's talking with their asses. Everybody's doing the alrighty then. That was the movie. Other movies like that were Friday, the movie Friday.
Yeah.
You came back to school, everybody's doing the lines. So this was huge, 1994, and then he rips off Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber. This was a Lakers early 2000s three-peat type of deal. Above or below
Above.
50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Above. It was a classic.
Ace Ventura is 49% on
Idiot.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Idiot. That's why I have no respect for Rotten Tomatoes.
They're never going to give comedies good ratings.
Oh, you're right. But
You got to think like a critic. 49. It's above 50%. Come on, critics. Okay, 2 more movies. A fleet of spacecraft surrounds Earth's major cities. All of humanity waits to see if the visitors are, as they claim, come in peace. But when a peaceful exchange ends in total annihilation, the military is called for a full-scale nuclear retaliation.
Independence Day?
From 1996, the movie is Mars Attacks.
Oh, I
What
never saw.
NFL player was in Independence Day?
That's what I was trying to think of. I didn't think of it. I
Wait,
didn't know.
You never saw Independence Day? You must have seen Independence, or you
No,
never
I saw
Mars
Independence. I saw Independence Day. I never saw Mars Attacks.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah, I was going to say, you saw Independence Day. Mars Attacks was one of those movies where people were like, "Do you ever see Mars Attacks?" I'm like, No, it's cool. You got to check it out. And
Yeah.
it flew under the radar for like a year and a half. And
Who was the NFL player?
well, you got to guess.
Oh, I guess on a movie I've never seen. Oh, I'm gonna go with. Okay, can I ask you this? Was he an NFL player at the time?
Okay, I'll answer that. No, he was not an NFL player at the time.
A former NFL player. I'm gonna go with Dick Butkus.
Interesting guess. You're wrong. The player is Jim Brown.
That was my neck. Honestly, I was between Jim Brown and
Good
Dick
guess.
Butkus.
Good guess. Is this movie above or below
No, I've never seen Below.
Mars Attacks? 55%
I can't-
on
I'm not-
Rotten
I'm not
Tomatoes.
gonna
I don't
get it.
agree with that. This is a silly movie. It has a ton of stars in it, but 55% sounds a little high. Last movie. A rather clueless detective tries to foil a plot to turn innocent people into assassins through mind control. The investigation leads him to a business tycoon. However, the detective begins to fall for the tycoon's assistant.
Oh.
He agrees to join the detective to stop the plan.
Never seen this one. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You seem very confused by this description.
Very.
No clue, huh?
Not the slightest of clues.
Okay. From 1988, the movie is The Naked Gun.
Oh, that's right.
Did you ever see these Naked Gun
You know
movies?
what? I did
Still
see
funny.
it, but that was the movie that we would rent as kids, and I would put it like my dad we'd rent it, and then I'd put it in the VCR. I'd watch my movie first, and then by the time the second movie rolled around, I'm kind of like falling asleep on the floor. That's what was going on here.
I remember watching a movie at your house. I think I've seen it at your house and nowhere else in life. It was called King Ralph. And I think we watched it maybe 14 times in a weekend. Never saw it again. Never heard of it again. Never viewed it again in my life. It was never on cable ever
King
again.
Ralph, John Goodman classic. The NFL player on Naked Gun was OJ.
You're right. For 1 point, O.J. Simpson. I watched The Naked Gun. Still funny. That movie is still that silly irreverent humor. There's a scene where the detective, Frank Drebin, goes to like the tycoon's fancy party. Like he crashes the party and the tycoon is like, Detective Drebin, I didn't see your name on the guest list. Well, sometimes I go by my maiden name.
Yeah.
Jokes like that get you. They don't even pause, and you start laughing. Is this movie above or below 50% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Comedy. I'm gonna go with your theory below.
Going below. The Naked Gun, 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. They loved it.
They loved it.
They
Wow.
loved it. You got 4 points on the football player not in a football movie trivia. So, I'm going to keep that game. I liked it. Legal ramifications question. We're going to finish the show off with this. Legal ramifications. What is the client-lawyer relationship like post-case, post-verdict? You're done. You finished the job. You got them off, or they are found innocent. What happens afterwards?
You like to think that it ends. I mean, you don't want I have kept in contact with some clients that were happy, and even some that weren't happy, not with so much the services but of the result, and I've still kept in contact with a lot of them, and they keep coming back. But you hope as a criminal defense lawyer, like, I hope this is the last. I hope you learned the lesson, whether you won or lost. If you won, I hope it's something that you never want to put yourself in the position again to need me for any reason. And if you lost, I just hope you learn from this and you never come back.
Do you have any relationships with former clients? Do you
Oh,
touch
sure.
base?
I can't think of. I'm not, you know, having beer. It's a weird question. Like, if you were to get a speeding ticket, let's say, and then you were to, hey Omar, I was in town, I got a speeding ticket. Will you take care of this? Technically, you're my client, right? And obviously, we have a relationship. So
Mhm.
aside from those, not really as from the criminal side of it. I do have people that have invited me to weddings and kids parties and anniversaries. I have had that, but
Oh, you're like a mob lawyer. You know how in Godfather the lawyer
yeah,
goes to the weddings and the baptisms.
I have had that, but I wouldn't say I haven't made like lifelong friendships. I would say with a client.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that makes sense. I would say that you're all business.
You try to be, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I wouldn't. I don't see you as having beers with clients.
No, definitely not.
I would think that'd be frowned upon. You can't.
I don't know if it'd be frowned upon, but like I've seen I see what a lot of these guys do when they're drunk, and I don't think I'd want to be around that.
Keep it professional.
Yeah, get it professional.
Keep it professional. Have you ever run into like a client, grocery store, movie
Yes,
theater, something
it
like
happens.
that
It
at
happens.
school?
It happens more often than you think. Um, I've represented people that you know, and you would be shocked that I've represented them for a reason. Um, I had this conversation actually with a friend not too long ago, and I said, I looked at him and I said, I can tell you, I represented somebody very close to you. And he looked at me with his blank stare, and I told him I'd never tell you who, but you'd be shocked if I told you who it was.
How did this conversation come to be? You are like a mob lawyer. You're like leveraging information. You got your finger on the
Of course.
on the
And then like the
pulse.
guesses started. Was it my Aunt Patty?
Ah,
No.
right. I would want to know. I wouldn't let you go till I guessed right. How did this conversation even come up where you're saying, guess what? I know I represent someone you know.
I will say, because my job, I think, I'm not like I know, your sister-in-law is a transactional lawyer, and she's a very good lawyer, but I'm sure like you can't sit with her and have, beers and talk to her about cases, because and I'm sure she'd admit it, it's probably not fun. You know what I
I
mean?
see.
It's not, but I am the type of lawyer that you can sit down with me and, man, I got some stories to tell. You know
Oh
what I
wow.
mean?
Legal talk. I have an idea for a new show now.
Yeah.
Legal talk with Carmona. Wow. I would love to see. Do you ever cross paths with like a competitor, like a prosecutor? Like is there anybody you just butted heads with, and then you got to see them at your kid's school?
No,
What about that?
I try to keep a pretty cordial relationship with everybody. There's some prosecutors that I don't have a good relationship with, but that just comes, I think, with the territory. But no, I've never had anything awkward like that.
Wow. Well, I'm surprised how professional you keep it.
Yeah, I got to keep it professional.
I would thought there'd be at least one little dust up somewhere where there's a little where there's a little Ndamukong Suh finger pointing stare down like today in the game.
No.
And then the other lawyer kicks you and you say, hey, he kicked me. Well,
yeah, no, nothing like that.
All right. If I turn these mics off and you tell me the most horrific story, I'm going to be very disappointed. Well, on to the conference championship next week. 2 games, 4 teams enter, 2 teams leave. Cincinnati, Kansas City, San Francisco, LA Rams. Omar Carmona, take me out on your feelings for next week with your team. Give me ideal Carmona San Francisco game.
It's going to be a close game, but I think we will make enough plays on the defensive side of the ball to stop a potent offense. So I'm going to go. That's why I'm taking the Niners.
Will Jimmy G earn his way back into your heart with an NFC championship win?
If he gives me 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions, yes.
All right. For the Sunday Night Talk for Omar Carmona, we will see you guys next week. Thank you, Omar.
Take care.
Okay, that is it. That is the show, everyone. That is the Sunday Night Talk for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. What a weekend. What a weekend of sport. What a weekend of intensity. What a weekend of some teams moving on, some teams going home, and a whole lot of field goals. That was big. The NFL loves field goals. The NFL loves overtime. And we watched it all. NFL, it's here. Hey, don't forget February 11th, see me doing live stand-up comedy, 9:30 p.m. flapperscomedy.com is where you go, or straight to me. I can get you tickets too. Come see me do live stand-up comedy. I'm on a show with a bunch of other really funny folks too, so you will not be disappointed. Speaking of disappointed, was your team in the playoffs? And if they were, did they lose? Are you disappointed? Was your team out in the wildcard round like mine was? And thus you can now enjoy the playoffs. Did your team not even make the playoffs? And you can just root carte blanche. Whoever wins, wins. Do you take the Buddhist approach to rooting for teams? The ball will decide who is the best team. That's one way to go. On to the conference championship. Cincinnati, Kansas City, San Francisco, LA Rams. It's all here. It's on our plate. Me and Omar will be there next week to break it all down. I hope you enjoy the games. I hope you have a good week, and I will talk to you